the masterclass. So Dr. Mariana Galeazzi received a Doctor of Musical Arts degree from the University of Texas at Austin and a Master of Music in Flute Performance from Yale University. She has been a recipient of several awards and distinctions in solo and chamber music categories. And she has been awarded multiple grants, including the Innovative Pedagogy Grant, the Arts Enhancement Act Grant, and the Academic Innovation Grant, the High Impact Innovation Practices, and the Advanced Climate Together Grant at Texas A&M University. Dr. G's research focuses on new music by Latin American composers and has served as a guest artist and speaker on the subject at prominent venues all across Europe, Asia, Latin, and North America. She's performed in ensembles like the Austin Symphony Orchestra, the Oak Ridge Symphony, the Santa Fe Symphony, the Philharmonia Orchestra at Yale, and many more. She has been invited to present and perform at multiple National Flute Association conventions, the Texas Music Association Conference, the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium, and World Flute Festivals. She actively collaborates with composers in commissioning, recording, and performing new music for flutes. Her debut CD, Revelations, was released by MSR Classic Records in 2021, and we are so thrilled to have her on faculty here at Vanderbilt College of Music, where she teaches the flute class, and she's also going to be teaching a continuing education class with us this spring over mastering focus and concentration in the classroom. So without further ado, here is Dr. Galeazzi.
Okay. Thank you so much, Olivia. Thank you for your kind introduction. It is so wonderful to see so many of you in this Zoom call. I am so excited to be here and to share some insights about breathing and vibrato. But before we get started, I wanted to know where you are Zooming from. We have so many people, 162 of you. I'm super excited and want to know where you're Zooming. I'm here in the suburbs of Chicago. I love living here. We have the four seasons and it's a warm day today in the 40s or so. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Welcome to the Vandercook series, masterclass series. Today we're going to be talking specifically about breathing and vibrato. And I don't know about you, but I'm very curious about these two topics because they are so important. The reason why I pair them is because many people ask me, how do we produce vibrato in the flute? And the reality is that in order to have a nice, controlled, expressive vibrato, we have to have an excellent foundational breathing. So those two concepts go hand by hand. Breathing is perhaps the most important aspects of tone production. Why? Because it's air what provides and gives us energy, is what makes our body resonate, and more important, is what creates nuance in our phrasing and therefore musicality. So we could say that breathing is foundational to both our technique and also musicianship. I wanted to warn you, this is going to be very active. So there are a couple of things that if you have at hand, you should grab right now. For instance, first of all, have we shared? Yes, we have. So there is on the chat, you are going to see a package, right? Some pages that I have prepared for all of you today that you can take home. And I will be sharing the screen at some point. But before we get started, if you have a book somewhere, around your table or your room, please grab a book. What else are we going to need? We are going to need, I'm going to use a metronome for all of us. What else? Oh, straws. That probably you need to, gather them from the kitchen, but that's okay. I'm going to give you many ideas of how to use these everyday items to deepen and expand your breathing. So here is my stir, my coffee stir. It's a very, very tiny straw. All right, let's get started. Do you want me to share the screen then so that we can all talk on the exercises? Let me get you here. There we are. So I think I'm sharing, but not what I needed to share. Okay, so first silly exercise that we are going to be doing. Let me open the chat right here so I don't miss. Oh, someone from Argentina. That is so exciting. I'm from Argentina. So the first thing is we're going to start working with the book. This is a silly exercise, but you know, the flute uses a lot of air, as much air as the tuba. So we are the two instruments in the band that use the most amount of air. So we have to start training in order to use more and more and more air and on one side, and also in being very economical and smart in how we use our air. So here's a good exercise I like to do with my students, especially beginners that are just starting out. So if you have a book, you can try blowing, put it at an arm distance, but for today, we're going to start a little bit closer so it's easier. And you're going to try to blow. And I look very silly. And move the pages of the books. Some books render better results than others, so you may start with a smaller one. No, this one doesn't work that well. You know, technology is not, it's all in life. So you may want to start with a book that works better and then try to blow. And then as you become really proficient, you can increase the distance of the book and then have some fun with your students or with your friends. Alrighty. So then the next exercise that we have right here is to help us develop air pressure without engaging in any tension in our muscles. And this is a very nice exercise, actually. We all can do, and we don't need any extra things. All we're going to need is the index finger. And so this is how we're going to do it. We are going to inhale deeply and exhale between our lips. We're not going to open the entire mouth. We're going to do as if we were playing the flute. No smile, no. Relax, forward embouchure. And while we are exhaling the air like this, right? Do you want to try it? Okay, so now tell me in the chat, what is happening in your belly, in your abdominal core when you stop the airflow? Like that. Oh, I have to go. There's a slight push, right? You feel your abs really engaging, right? Because there's a pressure, there's a resistance. Very good. All right, so the next step on this exercise is we are going to stop the air and then we're going to let it go and it's going to pop like that. So don't change the air, keep blowing. And then you're going to feel that pop. And that gives us an idea of what muscles we have to use, right? We're going to see lots of examples, I promise you, and many ways of applying this concept. I just want to waken up your muscles right there below the navel so that you feel what muscles are activated when you stop the airstream. That resistance is what we don't have in the flute, unlike the clarinet and many other reed instruments. Okay, you ready for the next exercise, number 3? And what you see right there, yes, is a bean. That's a bean, maybe a edebani bean or something. And I must confess, I forgot my bean. So I'm going to just talk about this exercise. It can be really, really fun. All you need is a bean or a bead or even a small, do I have anything small here? A small object. And what you want to do with your students is have them, it's better if it is outside or in a big classroom or somewhere where it's room and, you know, it's post-pandemic time. So we are all very conscious about blowing to each other, but you want to have a small object on the floor. Let's imagine that this is the floor. And then with a straw, you want to move that object like that. Let's see if I can do that. That's going to be very silly. I just did. And so you want to move that object with a straw, and you can try straws of different diameters and see who is able to move that object a lot farther. So this really develops that vitality, right, in the air stream. So something else that you can do, since we don't have the little bean right here, something else we could do is using a little straw and a small piece of paper. I have all of my little props here. Small piece of paper. We're going to fight gravity. I have to be careful with my flute here. We're going to fight gravity. So you want to blow. Let's see that I'm not cheating. We have to blow to keep the paper in place. Just with air, and it fell down, so I wasn't cheating, right? So you can do that against a wall. I'm using a paper because I'm zooming, right? But you can do it against a wall and then have small pieces of paper. I use a little paper like that, and then you have your students or yourself or your friends, and you have them against the wall, and then blow a very, very strong airstream in order to keep that paper held against the wall just with your air. Okay, all right, very good. So that's another exercise that I didn't list it in there. And you can see the next word that I have, the keyword I call for keyword that we need to really, really remember for breathing is expansion. So how about in our own words, we find a definition of expansion, what it is to expand. And you can put that on the chat too. Expand. Yes, we expand the lungs, enlarge, get bigger, get wider, to grow. I love all of that. So many ideas. Wow. To fill with. Excellent. Very, very good. So in breathing, we really want to enlarge. Tell you a secret. We are born with a given air capacity. Our lungs have a capacity. We cannot change the capacity or vital capacity of our lungs, but we can definitely expand that capacity, right? We can make better use of what we have. Our height, our gender, many factors, our age will also have an impact on that vital capacity. But we're going to try to learn how to be smart in enlarging our capacity and also expanding as we breathe in and out. So here I'm going to roll in, and you have the same. I have this little picture with every element that we have in the breathing apparatus or the breathing mechanism. And I'm actually, that's incorrect. It's not every element. I'll show you why. We have the lungs right there. The lungs are like little, very thin bags that they don't move by themselves. They move on automatically in our breathing mechanism, but by themselves, they're not muscles, right? Then we have the diaphragm. How many of you have heard about breathe from your diaphragm and use your diaphragm? Vocal teachers do that. Everyone says the diaphragm. But what is the diaphragm? The diaphragm is a muscle, duomo-like. So it is like right here, flattened in inhalation when we inhale, and it's covering basically the stomach and all the organs. So it's what divides the lungs from the rest of us. And when we inhale, the diaphragm descends, right? It goes lower. And when we exhale, the diaphragm goes higher, pushing the air. So the diaphragm, a duomo-like muscle, descends, making more room, if you will, for the lungs to have more amplitude, more room, and to expand. And then when we exhale, the diaphragm relaxes and goes all the way back, and then reducing the air capacity or the space for the air in the upper torso. So that's how the diaphragm works. Now, guess what? The diaphragm cannot move by itself. Okay, so I am seeing some connectivity issues or something in the chat. And so can you tell me if it is me that I am glitching or someone else? I'm sorry to be distracted. Good. Is it me that is glitching or are you having problems? You are not glitching. Okay. Good. I'm sorry. I got a little bit distracted there. Okay. It's just because I'm connected to my Ethernet, and so I was wondering if it is glitching. Okay, so I was saying, I lost my track there. So the diaphragm doesn't move by itself. It is actually the muscles that we call our abs. And this is a complex of muscles. So the abdominal muscles are many of them, and they are not pictured here. And I didn't want to create an anatomy class today because we have a lot to do. But the abs run up and horizontally, vertically, obliquely. We have just so many of these abs that they generate a wall, literally, that help us to lower the diaphragm by expanding and then pushing in order to get the diaphragm out when we are exhaling. Okay, good. And so now we are ready for more exercises. Get ready to work. Exercise number 4. Well, in order to develop very good breathing, we have to be aware that there are 2 major areas in the body that are part of our breathing mechanism. I'm going to get a little bit more distance so you can see. So one area is going to be from your navel or belly button and below. That's where the abdominal wall resides, and we want to be aware of that area. And the other area is going to be where actually the lungs are. And we're going to think of our thorax and our rib cage, right, as an area also for expansion. So we want to have these 2 mechanisms, the abs expanding, creating more room for the diaphragm to lower and more room for the lungs, and then the rib cage also expanding and getting wider. So we have these 2 elements. In good breathing, we really want to have this flexibility of utilizing it all. And that's what I had here on the right side of the package. These 3 glasses, because I compare breathing sometimes like how we fill up a glass from a bottom up mechanism. So we want to start on our lower abdomen area, expanding and creating more room, and then we fill it up all the way to the rib cage. And so that's why I feel that little glass in there. Okay, so we're going to be ready now for exercise 4. And I don't know why, but I have people also doing things to my share screen. Okay, so the first exercise, number 4, we're going to place our hand below the navel right here. I'm going to get a little bit farther away, below the navel. And so I want you to inhale. And while you're inhaling, your muscles around your belly, they should be expanding, push out. And then as you exhale, move the navel toward your backbone. In order to feel this better, you can also put your other hand on the back. And so when you inhale, expand, your belly gets farther away from your backbone. When you exhale, your belly goes in and gets as close as you can to your backbone, or that's the idea, the imagination. And then breathe in again, really moving those abs, and then exhale one more time, bringing the navel toward your backbone. Okay, So that's one exercise, and you can practice this several times and several times a day until you create a wider range of motion so that really those muscles expand and contract, getting closer to your spine. You want to really create that range of motion. Okay, now let's go to number 5. Exercise number 5 is to free the rib cage. So now we're going to concentrate on the upper part of your breath. You're going to place your hand on your chest, right here in your sternum. Your sternum is one bone here, is also known as breastbone, from where all the rib cage attach. So we're going to put the hand right here, and we're going to breathe in, trying to mobilize the rib cage. I'm not making a noise when I inhale and exhale. I'm doing this just to guide you. You can also place hands on other parts, like on the sides of your rib cage, to feel that expansion. In breathing, how Maestro Jacobs used to say, a very famous tubist in the Chicago Symphony for many years, we have to use visuals. We have to touch the body, use visuals in order to learn how to manage this invisible resource that we have, which is the air. So in this exercise, expand the rib cage and contract them. There are tiny little muscles, not tiny, but there are muscles in between the ribs. They are called the intercostal muscles, and those are the ones that help the rib cage to expand. Very well. Okay. We're going to go now to the next exercise, and in this one, we put it all together. So we really want to feel in the glass from the bottom. So we're going to have one hand in the lower ab and another hand in the chest. You move a little bit this way. And so you're going to inhale, first starting moving your ab muscles, your stomach out. And then you continue to inhale and raising the upper chest. And then when you exhale, you're going to lower first the chest air. And you culminate with that sensation of getting the navel closer to your backbone. And one more time. Good. And many of you, we don't want to do a yoga class right here, but this, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is. If you are a student, how important it is to develop this real knowledge, perception of these muscles engaging in this action, in this range of motion, whether it's the intercostals or your abs. They have to be involved in your breathing so that you can create a much better breath, and therefore there's just so many benefits in flute playing for that. And here it is when we're going to get really crafty. Okay, so I'm going to be using a breathing bag. How many of you have? I know that the chat is active, and honestly too active for me to follow. So how many of you have ever practiced with a breathing bag? The breathing bag that I am using is actually a homemade breathing bag, and I like many. So I like the homemade breathing bag because I can see what it goes inside. Because if we don't see the moisture that is inside, that could be very unhealthy. So I like this very economical. I can get it for less than $1. I can get my breathing bag, and I'm going to show you how this is made. It's very, very exciting. So you're going to need a gallon size Ziploc bag, and you're going to need some scissors, and you're going to make a very tiny incision right here at the end of that. And you are going to also need a cylindrical tube. It could be a PVC pipe, or it could be, like in this case, I found this at the Home Depot store, and it's called a coupling. And I found different types. So the ones that I have in the other breathing bag is a little bit different. So a coupling is just like that, cylindrical, and it has about this size. And so you can use that. You insert this inside the bag. Now I don't remember where I did the hole, right here. Okay, so we're gonna insert this, erase it this way. If you make too big of a hole, then you're gonna have to tighten up the bag, the Ziploc bag with a rubber band, so it's not going to waste. Then you close here, there, and now we are ready to use the breathing bag. So what is that the breathing bag does? It shows you your air capacity. So I am going to breathe in, and I'm going to show you. My students, younger people, can do a much better work job. So I'm going to breathe in and fill in this with air. And that's all my air, my friends. I had a little bit more. I could use another phrase. Oh, someone is doing it. Oh my gosh, I love that, Emme. Okay, so now we're gonna work with this breathing bag. I'm gonna leave my flute out here. There. Okay, and have this exercise right there. I must confess, these exercises, you don't see a lot of beginners using a breathing bag. This I use with my college students. So it can be used with beginners, intermediate, and advanced students. Anyone can benefit from this. Just be aware that, working with younger students might have extra challenges on that. So you see these little boxes we have here. I'm going to breathe in 4 counts, and I'm going to breathe out in 4 counts. Then I'm going to breathe in 3 counts and breathe out in 3, 2, and 2, 1, and 1. So I will demonstrate that. I'm going to have my metronome at 60, and you all are going to be able to hear that, hopefully, to do the counting. So count with me. I'm going to do the blue box exercise. Okay, forgot. 1. Got it? That's 1 series. You can hear it? All right. Yeah, I learned this from another flutist. It's just such a great exercise. And of course, you don't do this many times. Maybe I do this 3 times and then I have to breathe. And I know I have a question, Justin, in just 1 second, because I have a lot to cover. So I promise you can put it in your chat and I can address that a little bit later. Now, this other exercise, the one on the green box, I will do. I'm going to breathe only in 1. This is for advanced players, guys. It's not easy. So I'm going to breathe only in 1 and then breathe out in the numbers that are saying there. So So the idea is that you become, your rib cage has to breathe in 1. So you got to be very relaxed, and those intercostal muscles really move and they expand in order to get that air all in, going out once. Do you want me to show it again? I'll show you one more time. That one. Okay. That's the idea. Okay, so now I feel like I have a workout. All right, let's go to the next exercise. So who wants to play? right? Okay, grab your flute because now we're gonna put it together with the flute. Very good. Excellent. So, just what I was doing with the counting, we are going to breathe in 4, and we are going to play in 4. Now, let me grab my flute. You can choose any pitch. I'm going to be playing an A. So try to choose something different, like a C or an F. They will go really well together if we play as a little duet. So I'm going to breathe in 4, and then we're going to play in 4. Then in the second row, we breathe in 4, and we're going to try to play 6 counts. Then we're going to breathe in 4 again, and we're going to try to play 8. Okay, let's see, we are ready. And the metronome is our friend. So choose any pitch. 1. And then we can repeat this more and more. Okay, very good. Let's try breathing in 2, and then breathing and playing in 4, in 6, and 8. So now we're going to breathe only in 2. We have to be very efficient at the way we breathe. I'm going to try a different octave now. I'll try the other A. 1. All right, very good. Are you ready for the next exercise? We are going to breathe only in 1. Make sure that you are muted, okay? We're going to breathe only in 1, and then still trying to play 4, 6, and 8 beats. All right, putting the metronome again to help us count. 1. And of course, depending on the level of the students or your level, you may want to make this more difficult. You may want to ask up to 10 counts and 12 counts and 16 counts, as many as you think that you can challenge yourself. Very good. All right, let's keep on going. And so here are some practices that we can do, some practice ideas that we can use with your students. And actually, I'm going to stop the share so I can see everyone, since you have that also available. It's many of us. Otherwise, I would dare to do sort of an experiment and ask everyone to unmute, but I think that it's way too many. We are at 162. So maybe it's not a good idea. Then we're gonna run into trouble. But this is what you can do with your students, right? Or with your friends, if you are a student. And just that exercise that we practice, you can ask the students to select whether they want to do the blue or the green or the yellow box. And then they can choose to do breathing in 2 and in 6. They can make variations of that. But ask them to be intentional so that they really know which ones they are doing and they stick to that one. But then give them a prompt or a rule, such as you can play any pitches within the low register, right? And so you show, okay, you just can play by low register. By the way, I mean the first octave from C to C, the low C to the middle C. And then you can say, well, now you keep playing, you keep the students playing and doing the exercise, and you change to, okay, let's do, what is that? Middle register, right? And then you keep them playing and playing and playing, and then you do another one. So are you ready to try it? I see a lot of students wanting to try. So choose one. Maybe how about you breathe in 2 only, and then you hold on the note for 4, for 6, for 8. You can change that. You can change your breathing pattern, and you can also change the pitch, but it's going to be within one of these parameters that I am giving you. And in a classroom, that will sound as a cluster, as a flute cluster in a way. A cluster for those, the younger students, is when a lot of notes, like in a piano, they're playing together and they clash to each other. They don't sound consonants. So they're all different notes, lots of them clustered together. And that's what it would sound like if we were all to play together that. So now for a minute or two, decide you are going to breathe in in 2, and then you can do 4, 6, or 8 beats of sound at a mezzo forte dynamic. Okay, so let's give it a try, everyone. I'm not going to be playing because I'm conducting. 1, 2. Now middle register, so you can play any note in the middle register. Now we're going to do this one. See if you know which one is this. Flutter tonguing, huh? Many of you is like, what? What's that? Oh, that's for the next class. That's for the next class. Very good. And so then you can change your signs here and use different dynamics, use different parameters for your class. All right. That was playful. Let's go now back to sharing because we have music to play. Okay. So Santa's warm up. Santa's. So what does Santa say? Ho 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 ho. Can you all try ho 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 like Big Santa? Ho ho ho. Good. What happened with your abdominal belt when you say ho ho ho? Does it stay still, or does it have that movement that we were talking about? Ho ho ho. Right? Ho ho ho. That's what your abs do when you say ho, ho, ho. Very good. Very cool. So what we are going to do right now is we're going to play like Santa. Oh, the chat is very active. So I am starting here now. Be natural. Be natural. Okay? Be natural. So forte dynamic, be natural. And it should sound like ho, ho, ho. But in the flute, I want to hear those air inflections. Right, very good. For those of you that are able to transcribe this, you can start on a G, for example, and then you play in thirds with me, and it sounds, you can hear a lot more that way. Okay, so the ho ho ho, we can now do a variation. Uy, uy, uy. I don't think that's me, is it? Okay, I don't know what's going on. So we are going to do variation 1, which is the triplets. Let me do that. Variation 1, that is the triples. We might have something strange with the settings. In the triplets, we're going to do ho, 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 ho. Still slurring the notes, okay? Imagine that they are slurred, and we create that inflection with the belly. All right. Now let's try variation 2. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, 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 ho. This Santa is getting a little bit anxious. And so, ho, 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 ho. Ready? It has to be done with the belly, not with your throat. Keep everything relaxed here. Ho, ho, ho. At this point, you should feel a little bit tired in your abs. Okay, we're going to do now variation 3. Ho, 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 ho. Oof, that one is hard. Ta, 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 ta. Ta, 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 ta. Ready? All right, very good. Okay, so if we take that last variation and we smooth out the corners of our vibrato. So if I don't go, that's exaggerated. But now I'm going to use my abdominal strength that I develop out of this exercise. I'm going to support the notes throughout, and I'm going to ease out the undulations of the tone. So then we are very close to vibrato, right? Very close to vibrato in that way. But I am still using this exercise to get to that point so that my vibrato can be connected to my breath and it can start lower in my body so that it's not tense right here. All right, ready for the next exercise? We're gonna go to vibrato scales. So here is an F major scale with a simple vibrato pattern. We're going to try to do these undulations, the same ones that we use for the Santa's warm-up, but now on a single pitch. Let's listen to the first one. Okay. And then I go to the next one. And we're gonna all play together. How about that? We're gonna start doing this with the metronome. From the F. Everyone ready to play? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Are you ready now to conquer the next register? Same scale, 1 octave above. 1, 2, big breath, and. So that's a little bit of a workout for the vibrato. And I know we don't play measure vibrato like that. I want to be very clear. We are training the vibrato. We are training our muscles. Every time that you take a breath in between the measures, make sure that you are starting your breathing low so that you can engage those muscles. And here you can practice the same pattern in all of these different keys, just a different key every day. Now we can apply these vibrato techniques in melodies. So we are going to be using hot cross bands. because we all know it. But now the pattern will be unpredictable. In the previous one, we had a predictable pattern. Here, we have to really read what is there, because the notes we will recognize, hot cross bands, but the patterns of the inflections that we are going to be doing are different. So let's pay very close attention. We are going to be working with the same tempo. Da, 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 da. That's the first measure right there. So you can play along with me. 1, breathe deeply. Good. And I wrote this exercise today, and I wish I could have done something different here. So what we are going to do is play without the metronome, and we're going to pause to breathe, because otherwise it's just not going to work for us. So make sure that we are going to do one measure, take a big breath, and continue with our song. One more time. 1, 2, breathe deeply, and And that, I must say, that is a sort of like an awkward register. We may want to try it right here on 1 octave above that one, probably. Here I had a little bit of an argument with Finale today, and I couldn't find the sextuplet. And so it's showing us 3 and 3 for you band directors. So we're gonna go da 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 da. Okay, but that also with our vibrato inflections. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. And the combinations are endless. This is just a practical way of doing a control of vibrato, making sure that the students are breathing low, that the throat is relaxed, and that the vibrato is within the range of the sound. So this is one thing that I didn't mention, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to annotate here or not. Let me see. So imagine, yeah, I can annotate. Imagine that your sound is this wide right here. So that's your sound in blue. And if I want to annotate in another color, that will be a kind of fancy. And so when the vibrato is tense in the throat, typically you will hear a vibrato that goes up and down beyond the boundaries of the sound stream. Imagine, I'll play it. If I do, this is my sound without vibrato. Now, if I tense my vibrato, it's going to sound like this. So you can see, you can not hear the richness of the G, you hear the oscillation of the pitch. Now, I want to ideally have a vibrato in which here is, sorry, it's not very, the width of my tone, that's the airstream, and the vibrato lives inside there. So for that kind of vibrato that sounds like this, you gotta be very relaxed in your upper torso. so you can hear the bulk of it, the air right there defining a G, and then the vibrato inside. I'm going to demonstrate the other vibrato, the one that I don't like. So it really loses the color and the richness of the tone. Okay, let's keep on going now. Faster. Okay, good. And I want to leave some questions for vibrato. This is another exercise, and I can demonstrate it. I'm going to do it with the higher octave right here. This is an exercise that you can do with intermediate to advanced students. And probably we will have to move this to 72. So I'm going to be playing from measure 7. You can play along. If you want to play on an F, that way we can play a duet. Since you play an F, we can play a duet. Or you can play, we can do reverse. I can play an F. Okay. 1, 2. And then the last note, you don't count. You just go 3. But the reason why we study vibrato is because then we can use it in music. So why don't we just play this beautiful song? This is from the New World Symphony by Anthony Dvorak, the New World Symphony, and it's a very well-known melody. And so we can try now to use the vibrato, not measure, right? When you do musical expression like that, you don't need to measure your vibrato. You just let your vibrato sing and express your musicality. The reason why we practice it measures because we have to ignite the right mechanism to get a good vibrato and to control the vibrato. But then when we play music, you don't have to be measuring your vibrato. So we can all play this one together. Let's play only the first line because I want to address any questions that there might be from the audience. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very well. Excellent. I'm going to stop the share there to kind of read the room. And I am so sorry I haven't been able to keep up with the chat, but are there any questions or any clarification on the exercises or the concept in general? I'm going to try to bring this over here. You can give me a second to. Oh. Yes. So there's a question about how to open the throat, and very instrumental in allowing the throat to be open is the support. So you want to really make sure that you are engaging, or your students are engaging the abdominal wall. In most cases, when there is tension in the throat, is because the student is not supporting from these muscles that we try to ignite at the beginning. So a lot of breathing exercises, sensing the body, touching these muscles to see how they move, they will be very, 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 very helpful in releasing the throat. You can also use imagery, like, think that you have warm air in your mouth. Try to play with warm air. There's no way you can tense if it is warm air. Good. somebody asked me for a demonstration of ladder tonguing, and I can do that certainly. But Juan, you have your hand, so if you would like to unmute and ask the question directly.
I think she had it first, but okay, I'm
Oh,
going.
well,
Hi, everybody. My question was, when you do the hook breathing, is it more up here or down here, or is it just very equal?
down. That's a very good question. It's down.
Okay.
Most students, you'll see that when you tell them to breathe, they will doing so. In general terms, we humans, we don't have any problem breathing in into the chest. We all know how to do that. But for flute, you need to deepen your air capacity. And so therefore you gotta ignite those abdominal muscles. And we don't do that normally in our life. So we have to really emphasize those muscles. That's what I use that exercise. Good. And we have Jacques Lawrence. They also raise her hand.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, so do you have any tips for learning how to do circular breathing?
Oh, yeah, I do circular breathing. The tip number one is circular breathing is a little bit like learning to walk. So you can do it in 5 minutes or in a day or in a week. You have to teach your brain how to do that and develop those muscles. In circular breathing, you are inhaling while you are exhaling at the same time. So you use your cheek as a reservoir of air. And while you are expanding or blowing the air from your cheeks, you can inhale. And that's an exercise that everyone can do right now. So puff your cheeks and let the air go. Now, while you are puffing and doing this movement with your cheeks, inhale. It's going to be a very quick and short inhale. And then over time, once you get very proficient, you can try with a straw. That's another class, guys. You can try with a straw and with water. Then it becomes kind of second nature. And I can go forever for a while. Okay, so it's not that difficult once you get it. Okay, excellent, good question. I have several hands there. I'm gonna go in the order that I see you guys. I'm not sure which one was first, but before, let me address the many questions I've been reading on the corner of my eye. What is there in my lip plate? So, piccolos, right? And some piccolos can be made of grenadilla or blackwood. And so this flute has a lip plate that is wooden. And I really like the maker, and so I feel really comfortable with it. It looks kind of funny. Yeah. Good. So we have Hannah. Would you like to ask your question, please?
Yeah, so I've been playing for about like 7-ish years, and there is the past year or so I've gotten into more heavier literature like Carmen and Carnival of Venice and different things like that. And I've run into left wrist pain. So I was wondering if you had any like solutions for that.
You say wrist pain? Left. Okay, good. Do you mind playing one single note? I don't even need to listen. You can be muted, but it's just I want to see your hand posture. Good. I would try to curve your fingers. Your fingers are a little bit almost geometrically into the flute. So try to curve and relax that. And make sure that the flute is sitting on the first knuckle of your index finger. So something that you might be doing is holding the flute with your thumb. So when you do that, you are going to stretch this. And probably the pain that you have is right here, right? Or is on all of it? all of that. Yeah. So that's one. Just make sure that you're not holding the flute with your thumb, because the thumb needs to slide, but rather that you create a little bit of a seat for the flute in the first bone that you have right here. Another thing that is important is I use in my bass flute, because it's such a heavy instrument. There are, how they are called. You can send me an email, and then I can send you the Amazon link. This is a little gel. It's called the flute gel or something, but there's one kind that I use that is much better. It's like $7 as opposed to the other ones that are $2. But it really works. And probably you need, since you are playing several hours, you need a little bit more cushion here. Okay. Thank you, Hannah. And Olivia. Well, before I address all of these questions, people are going to start leaving, right? I'm going to stay here answering questions, chatting away. I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. It has been great spending this time with you. Sorry I couldn't catch up with the chat, but if you have questions, you can email me or just come to the next class. I'll be happy to see you again. Thank you so much for coming. And for those of you that have your hands up, I'm going one by one. So here is Olivia.
So I've been playing for like 4 years now, and I've run into a problem with faster literature where I cannot move my fingers as quick. And I was just wondering if you had any tips for that.
Yes, that might be related to the hand position. So I was mentioning to Hannah with the left hand is very important. But in most cases, I see students that have problems with the right hand more often than the left hand.
Mm-hmm.
The right hand, you gotta be careful that your thumb and your index are in communication with each other. So can you do this? This is a natural. If we want to grab something, a piece of paper, we do this, right? So this is our natural human nature. We pinch this way. So in the flute, we want to transfer that position. You're going to see that sometimes your finger might be here, or it might be there, or in worst case is here. If your thumb is there, you're not going to be able to be very agile with your technique. So you want to make sure that the thumb is holding the flute against gravity. So this thumb holds the flute against gravity, and it is somewhere in the realm of existence or near the index. So not that. This is okay. C, create a C with your index and your thumb. C is for correct hand position. My student taught me. C, create a C. Okay, correct hand position. Thank you, Olivia. James.
Hi, so my band director has said this a lot. She's recommending that I try to round out my sound. Do you have any tips for that?
She's right. We need to round the sound. Yes, I have a tip. Can you say O? Like that. O. Okay. Now can you sing O? You don't have to unmute. O. O. Can you blow while you're doing that shape with your mouth? So to round the sound, it's very important that the cavity of your mouth is as O as possible. O. So let me demonstrate. That's a regular note. If I want to round it, I talk a lot, guys. So my sound is not the best right now. O, big mouth cavity and warm air. Think of warm air, and make sure that you're not pinching your lips, because if you are, then that's going to thin your tone. A good thing that you can take away, James, from this class today is the breathing, right? So engage those abs into your breathing, and the more you do that, the better your breathing is, the more rounded your tone will result. Thank you.
Sorry. I'm having problems like doing higher notes. I don't I just can't I'm having like a hard time playing them and I don't know how to like be able to do that better.
Okay, so chances are, Alexandria, is that you are blowing too close to and my thing is black. Let me grab another flute. Mm. So this is my 14K flute. So in this one, you can see if I am blowing too close to the wall that is against that, I'm not going to be able to play the third register. So I need to open up to get the third register to speak, right? So that's something you can try. To get the third register, roll out, and your chances are greater that way. What it might happen right now is that you're blowing too close, and that's something that we are all flutists guilty of. We are afraid of the upper register, and so we turn in. And we start, it's a security thing. We start blowing really, really close to the other edge, and that's what just kills the resonance there. All right, Ava, I love your name.
So I get really lightheaded whenever I play for a long time, and I've talked to my band director, and she doesn't know, but like I was wondering like what I can do to like not get as lightheaded while I'm playing for a while.
Okay, I would say make sure that you don't go long stretches of time without eating, right? So that you are very well nourished, that you have enough water. And then another aspect would be just working your resistance on flute playing. So make sure that you practice long tones. These breathing exercises that we did today, they would be wonderful for you. So practice them, work on long tones, on partials, and you can also do the silly exercises that we did at the beginning of the class with the straw, with the paper. So not just with the flute. Work around to use more air and see if that allows you to gain resistance and improvements in that regard. But eat and drink water. Thank you. I have Cora next. I cannot hear you, Cora. It might be something with the setting. So I'm gonna go to the.
Sorry, I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was thinking about maybe playing piccolo and trying it, but I'm wondering, does that use more air? And do you have to have like faster air for that?
Oh, both very, very good questions. The answer to the first one, does the piccolo use more air, is no. The piccolo uses less air than the flute. To your second question, Cara, does it use faster air? Yes. The piccolo uses faster air. So think of the piccolo as an extension of the third register of the flute. In the third register, we gotta go really fast with that air stream. So the piccolo will require you to use faster air to have even greater support, and but you will use definitely less air.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have two questions. One is about the warm-up, the one with the pipe and the bag. Do you have to have the bag? Because our band director uses the pipes at the beginning of every class, and it's helped. But
you don't have to have the bags. Actually, for I don't know. I haven't thought of the implications of having bags in a middle school or a high school. It has a whole realm of problems. So you can just work with the pipe, and that will work too. Yeah, this
okay.
provides a very, for my flute students, the one that take lessons. And honestly, I have not yet used it to only with a handful of high schoolers, I have used the bag. But it's mostly with my college students that I use the bag. And they never bring it to lessons, so I don't know why. Yeah,
Okay.
good question.
My second question is my band director, every time I ask him what I could improve on, it's always my tone. And I happened to learn the flute in the worst possible setting, which is marching band of my freshman year. So my tone, I don't really know how to improve it, but I think it's pretty good on my like lower registry. It's getting to the higher where it gets really, really airy.
Well, I think the one concept I want you to take away today is breathing. Breathing will help you to improve your tone. No matter how you started, no matter how early or how late, I am still working at it. I'm working at my tone every day. How do I work at my tone? Breathing. I breathe. I become aware of the muscles that are involved in tone production. And those are going to be my abs, my rib cage, and I just work at that patiently, very patiently. Long tones and awareness of your breath. Thank you,
Thank you.
Rachel. I have next Ade Dibura. Hi.
Hi. Okay, so starting last year, my flute, every time I play a note, it's always extremely flat, even when I push it all the way.
Mhm.
And it's fine on piccolo, but it always happens when I'm on the flute. And I think it might be because of the way I play, because I started in 6th grade and I guess no one told me I was playing wrong. I don't know how to start it now. So.
Well, it can also be the flute. Don't take all the guilt, all the blame. Don't take all the blame. It can also be the flute. So you see, every flute will come with a cleaning rod. Does your flute have one?
Yes, but I've tried other flutes and it's all been the same. It's always flat.
It's all okay. It's always flat. There might be some reasons for that. Make sure that when you are blowing, you are not covering with the upper lip too much. One thing I want you to do is just with the head joint, you can do these silly exercises. Say yes with your head. And that will allow you to change the pitch higher and lower without the concern of the rest of the flutes. Just change it here. You can also change by saying no. Playfully. Be playful about that, okay? That will teach you by itself that there are different angles in which you can blow into the flute. And someday you will discover another angle that is not as flat. But you gotta explore. Okay? Thank you. Abigail.
So I had a question about being on pitch. So in some of the songs I have to learn, I have to be in a high pitch for a good amount of time or in a very low pitch for a good amount of time. How do I stay in that pitch?
Do you mean in tune, or how do you hold the
Like
pitch or the note?
In the higher notes or the lower notes, I stay mostly when I blow, I don't go into the really high ones. I will do a high one and then it goes lower, and I don't want it to. So
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I understand what's going on. Okay. So you know that in music, the notes are like colors, they're based on the harmonic series. So in one note, we have all the notes. So if I play this F register without moving my finger, I can get the next one. I can get many notes just with one. So when you are playing a high note, chances are the lower partial of that note is coming. Okay, but that doesn't help you much, right? Why is that the lower partial of that note is coming? That's because your airstream is not fast enough. So
Okay.
when you want to go into the upper register, you have to really engage. Remember that the navel against your backbone kind of feeling? You can do that with a little straw. I don't know where I put the straw anymore. With one of these coffee straws, blow into that because there's so much resistance. You're going to feel like an oboe player. And then sense the air stream against your hand. And that's the kind of strength that you need to develop in your air.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Kayla Jackson.
Okay, hi. I just want to say
Hi.
I really found your presentation very helpful.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Yeah, so glad it was helpful. And practice the exercises, please.
Most definitely. But like my question is, I've been playing flute for some time, and like so I know how to get the third octave notes through, but every time I do, it sounds splatty, like I'm screaming at somebody, and like I've tried rolling in, but even that doesn't get me in tune.
The upper register, the third register?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the problem is the opposite. You are rolling in and you should roll out. So, yeah, it's what I was saying, that we tend to play too close to the other edge of the embouchure. A combination of things that you can do, Kayla. Flutter tonguing, you guys, that would be so good for anything that is the extreme registers, whether it's the low register or the upper register. Flutter tonguing teaches you how to place the air. So, but I'm not going to engage with that. I'm going to just show you. We all can do that. Have you ever tried lip trills, like when we are singing? You do this silly face. Okay, so you can do that, Kayla, we don't have to, you're muted, so you can try. And when you do that, you'll notice that your abdominal muscles are engaging when you can't trill your lips without engaging your core muscles. The same happens with the flutter tonguing, and the same happens with the upper register in the flute. They won't come out if you are not engaging your core muscles. So that's what you can do. Try flutter tonguing in any register, and that will eventually teach those muscles to start moving in your favor. And it's not in the lips. You gotta train those muscles. You gotta train the core muscles, not the lips.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Avery, good?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So when I'm playing like low notes, like really low notes below like the staff, I feel like they're not like coming out. Like I know that you're supposed to play like really low air. Like my band director said like you're like fogging up a mirror, but I feel like even that's like hard to do. And I was just wondering if you have any tips on like blowing softer air, I guess.
Yes. Not necessarily softer, warmer air. I like that instruction. I like that very much. Warmer air, and also direct the air to your elbow. So when you're going to the low register, really direct the air low into your elbow rather than forward.
Okay.
And that will give you more range of, more dynamic control and range.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And the squares keep changing, so I'm so sorry if you've been raising your hand for a long time. Caitlin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering, when I try to like do a really fast trill, I can't move my pinky fast enough.
Do you have like a
Which,
tip for that? Right
this
pinky.
pinky?
Yeah,
The right
right one.
pinky. Okay. Yes, I have a tip. Chances are that your pinky, does it get stuck? Sometimes it gets kind of like the joint gets stuck. That happens
Yeah.
to all of us. Okay, that is because your pinky is straight. So you're playing with your pinky straight or bended this way. And the pinky needs to be curved like the other fingers. The only way you're going to be able to curve your pinky, and this is going to blow your mind, is if you place the pinky on the side. Let me show you a close-up to what I mean. This is silly. So imagine this is the flute. So your pinky doesn't play straight into the flute, but rather sits on the side. So you see my pinky is kind of uneven because it has the memory of the flute on the side, not in the front, on the side. That would allow you to play like that. So the fingers are curved, not straight. So if your finger is straight, it's going to get locked and you're not going to be able to do the scales very fast.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Good. Nancy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so for Isma, like we have like in our one of the pieces we have to do flutter, right? And like I've been working on it a little bit, but like I don't know if you have like any tips to like
I lost the rest of the word. You say flutter?
Yeah, we have to flutter.
To flutter, to the flutter tongue. Yes, I have some tips. There are two ways in which you can do flutter tonguing. One is by rolling the R's like that. The other one is by gargling. I think that's the right pronunciation. So sort of like purring like a cat, right? Like that. So the idea is that for the flutter tongue to happen, you have to engage your core muscles. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to flutter anything. You will only flutter if you are engaging those muscles. So if you cannot roll the R or flutter the uvula, that's what you're fluttering, right? The uvula on the back of your throat. That doesn't move because there's not enough engagement in your core muscles. It has nothing to do with your ability to say, roll the R or move anything in your throat. That everyone can do. It's like, can you close your eyes? You can. So if you can close your eyes, you can roll your tongue and you can move or flutter your uvula. It's just that the air speed is not fast enough. So in order to unlock, because many students get locked, it's like, no, I cannot do it. And they just come to the lesson, I cannot do it. So what you could do is do the lip trills. Go around the house, and your business, happily singing, the Taylor Swift songs with that lip trills, and that will help you eventually to do the flutter tongue.
I was just wondering if you played piccolo and if you had any tips on how to make it less airy.
Oh, yes. Two that come to my mind right away. First, don't place the piccolo in the same placement on your bottom lip that you use for the flute. Go a little bit higher because it's a smaller embouchure hole, it's a smaller instrument, it's a smaller tube. So instead of having it where you have your flute, go a little hair, like a millimeter or just very tiny higher. That will help you greatly. The other is make sure that you are really, really sending fast air. So if you want to have a nice rounded tone in the piccolo, fast air for the piccolo. And start in the middle register. All piccolos on all instruments are going to be difficult in the extremes register. So don't try to play the low D. Start playing comfortable in the middle D, the C, the B flat, the A, and then expand from there with lots of patience and lot of air support.
Yeah, yes.
So when band, I might try playing lower notes. I can play them, but it's like really quiet, and I struggle to play loud enough so I can like be heard, but without playing in the middle register.
Yes, lower notes have been a difficulty. They are a constant difficulty for every flutist, right? No matter the time that you've been playing the flute. So my advice is twofold. Make sure that you start playing from the middle register into a note that is easier for you and expand. And you can do these long tone exercises. So you're going to start from a B flat. And then just go little by little. I talk too much tonight and I smile a lot, so it's hard to play and demonstrate. So engage those core muscles, use warm air, direct the air lower as you reach the end of the flute. The reason why the low register is so difficult is because look what happens. If I play an A, these tongue holes are open. So that means that the tube of the flute goes from here to my second finger. That's all that it needs to travel. But if I am closing the entire tube of the flute, my air needs to travel all around the flute back and forth. So that's why it is so hard to play. You need a lot more strength in your air, but at the same time, you need to be relaxed. If you play or you sing a low note, oh, I cannot sing that if I am tense, oh, right? Oh, I have to be very relaxed. If I sing a high note, oh, it's very different. So imitate what you do with your voice, or when you are playing the flute. And don't feel bad about the low register. It's difficult for everyone. So be patient and then practice one day after the other. You're going to be gaining one more pitch and one more pitch. And before you know it, you'll feel very happy about it.
Okay. And also like just going from like when we're slurring one note and then slower octave is just like an easy just a tip for that.
Oh yeah. So when you're playing octaves and slurring, is it like this? Just like that?
Yeah, yeah.
That's like singing, right? Oh, if you sing, the back of your throat does do something different. Oh, oh. So for flute too, don't try to blow the two notes in the same level. Oh, because it will render the same note or an empty partial of the lower one. So you gotta place your mouth. Oh, this is this is your palate. Oh, oh, and use your core muscles for the second note. No matter where, if you're going up or you're going down, you're gonna need to engage your core. Thank you so much for attending. It's been great spending time with you. I love having all these faces and all these questions. Very, very smart questions. Thank you. Thank you for being here.